Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing really well. Today's video is going to be a chatty video. Actually, I've decided to talk to you about podcasts. This is something that I've discovered a couple of months ago, it's mainly recently. I know that they've been for a long time on the market. I know that it's not something new. I've discovered them recently and I wanted to share with you my favorite ones, why I like them. So if you by any chance haven't heard about podcasts, or if you don't know what's the podcast, or if you're just interested to find out what's my favorite podcast, then keep on watching. So at the beginning, I want to just explain how I came up with the fact that I like podcasts. I've heard from many influencers, YouTubers, and people in general about the podcast. I actually didn't know that I have that app on my iPhone, that it's free, that everybody can use it. So I did a little experiment with it. I've started to listen to some of the podcasts, and I've stopped, and I was just kind of like always on and off with them. And then when I've started to spend a lot of time in my car, actually stuck in the traffic, then I decided that it's a good chance for me to start to listen to some of the podcasts. I have a couple of them that I really like, so I'm going to talk to you about them in this video. So yeah, it's just I wanted to give you a little info about how I started listening to them. Okay, so I'm not going to talk a lot about the episodes that you have on the podcast that I'm going to talk to you about. I'm just going to tell you about them in general, why I like them, what kind of the podcasts are there, and I'm just going to give you info. So I start to talk about every. This video is going to be very long and it's not going to be interesting for you. So I'm just going to give you a little info, just to make you want to listen to them. Yeah, I think that's the right expression. So the first one that is my favorite one is the Goob podcast. Everybody who heard about the Goob actually heard because of Gwyneth Paltrow. That podcast is my favorite one because I practically could listen every episode, and every episode is interesting because it talks about life situation, it talks about health, it talks about diet, it talks about women's health and women's entrepreneurs, and it's such a good podcast. And I really love the type of the podcast because it's mainly like a radio. I don't know why I haven't said it like before, but it just came to my mind, so I just wanted to insert that thing that mainly that's the podcast. So the podcast is actually a radio show that you can pick when and where you're gonna listen to it, and it's the conversation between two people on a certain topic, and yeah, that's it. And that is why I like to listen in the car. I've actually never been the person who was listening to the radio in the car. I always had my playlist and I've always listened to music in the car, but now I've started to listen to the podcast. So yeah, so the Goob is my favorite one because there's so many topics that are interesting. They're just not talking about one subject, which the other podcast that I'm going to tell you, probably they have like mainly the same topic. This one is kind of like every episode is so interesting, and it has so many interesting things. So the Goob is one of my favorite ones. Then I'm just not going to talk to you about, in the order that I like them. I'm just going to just scroll them, but I had to tell you first about the Goob because that's something that is my favorite. Yeah, it's the favorite one. The next one is TED Talks Daily. I like TED Talks. Actually, about TED, I've heard a long time ago from a friend, and that's basically inspiring conversation about any topic. But I've also prefer more to listen to them on the YouTube. I think their YouTube channel has a lot more interesting topics for me. This podcast is good. There is some interesting topics, like it's not something that I would listen every episode, but I have to say that I'm more into their YouTube channel, and I prefer to watch the speaker, how he speaks, because it's somehow it's different for me. Then I like The School of Greatness by Louis Howees. I think I pronounced his last name well, but it's actually he's a motivational speaker. He has good episodes. I like to listen to him. We have discovered his podcast like a month ago, so I haven't had a chance to like listen to a lot of episodes, but so far I've listened like 5 or 6, I believe. And sorry, I'm just looking on my phone just to check how many I've listened to. It is good, you know, there is some interesting like inspiring stories, and it's really motivational kind of podcast. So whenever you feel kind of like down or you need more inspiration, it is good for that. Then the Icons. I don't know how many of you know from Mimi Icon. She has a YouTube channel, and her husband Alex Icon also has a YouTube channel. She was, I think both of them were owners of Luxy Hair. Those are like the hair extensions, so they had that business, they sold it, and they also have a lot of episodes where they talk about entrepreneurs, they talk about like fears, like life situations. They also have a child, and I don't know, I've started to listen to their podcast because I'm following Mimi for the past like 4 years on YouTube. She's very inspiring person. They have a baby girl, Alexa, and I think that she's one of a kind of mother who really, she's not actually the Instagram mom, she really decided to stay at home to raise their child, and she's really devoted mom. I know there are so many other devoted moms, but I'm really admiring her because she has such a big following, and she's actually a star on YouTube and on Instagram as well. But she's actually decided to be, you know, stay-home mom to really spend time with Alexa and to really be involved in her, you know, growing. So I really respect that. So I've also like, you know, their philosophy of life. She's also a very inspiring person. She's motivation for all the girls, I believe. And yeah, so that was the reason why I've started to listen to their podcast, which has just a couple of episodes. I think they've started like 2 months ago. They don't have a lot of episodes, but they also have one episode with Valeria Lipovetsky, which is also a YouTuber, and I love her so much. She's mom of 3 boys. She is very young, but she's so successful, and she's truly, truly inspiring. I have to tell you a little secret. She was also the one who inspired me to pursue this dream to be a YouTuber. Not a dream, but just that thought that I can do it. So yeah, watching her with 3 babies and just doing what she does, it's really inspiring. So they have a really interesting episode that I still haven't heard, but hopefully I will do it tonight because I think I will have a little bit more time. Okay, the next one is Oprah Masterclass and Oprah Super Soul Conversation. They're kind of like different because Masterclass, in that podcast she talks with celebrities, talks about their lives. So it is different than Super Soul Conversation, where she talks with the writers, with celebrities as well, where she talks with like motivational speakers, with the doctors, with like practically everybody. So I prefer more that one because, you know, with celebrities, somehow for me, still they have the same stories. I mean, maybe this is going to sound like weird or rude. I mean, they don't have the same stories, but mainly, you know, for me, they're not kind of like that inspiring. Some of them are, but most of them are not. But with Super Soul Conversation, there is like more interesting topics if you ask me. So this is kind of like the difference, but I like the both podcasts. Then I like the Mind, Body, and Green podcast. I've actually heard about the Mind, Body, and Green through Facebook. I've discovered them there like years ago, and then I've started to follow their website, and they talk about actually mind, body, and diet. They have so many interesting episodes where they talk about like food and mental hygiene, which I'm very into it. So yeah, I love their podcast also. And the last one is Where Should We Begin? Is with Easter Pearl. She actually talks about relationships and it is interesting. It is actually like some like love book or I don't know, some novel. I like to listen from time to time. If you're dealing with certain problems in your relationship, just kind of like for the sake of it, that you have the feeling that you are not alone with the problem. It is interesting to listen to it. So yeah, that will be it. That's all. Like, I don't have a lot of podcasts, as you can see, but I'm very kind of like picky to what to subscribe, because you know, somehow I've actually had like 3 more podcasts, but I've unsubscribed because one episode was good and then the other one's like not something that I've expected from that podcast. So I'm kind of like very picky when it comes to subscribe to something. But yeah, that was it. So I hope I inspired you to start listening to podcasts. It is a very, very good thing. Hope you like this video. If you did, give this video a big thumbs up. It will mean a lot to me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I post every Wednesday and Sunday, 7 p.m. And yeah, I'll see you on Sunday then. Bye!